So this is Baruch Fleischman. I've gotten here to the Tikkun Elevator Kollel. I'm about to get on the cab and take the ride up with the ultimate connection with God, written by Rabbi Yosef Chaim Mimran. Now it's getting really serious. Rabbi Mimran talking here previously about learning to control the mind, to keep the egoistic mind, the one mind that is tied to this world only, from dominating everything we do. So now we're come to one of the great Kabbalists of our time who wrote in English, believe it or not, Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan. So there's quotes from Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan's book, Jewish Meditation. He's talking about practical meditation. You want to do Jewish meditation? Well, here we go. He says, preparation for meditation is as important as the meditation itself. As the proverb says, to fail to prepare is to prepare to fail. Since Rav Kaplan Zatzal summarizes the process beautifully, I felt it of no need to duplicate his word, but rather let them speak for themselves. Now, in his Sefer Yetzirah, his translation of Sefer Yetzirah, there's some really, really deep concepts over there about the creation of the universe. Very difficult to understand. So here we come, and some of the part of his book really gets into meditation. The verse is used visually as the basis for meditation. So he says meditating using a verse. Let me go back, and it says if the verse is used visually as the basis for meditation, write the verse on a piece of paper and use it as a focus. Fix your gaze on the verse. Do not take your eyes off of it. The verse should become the center of your attention, to the exclusion of everything else. It should be as if nothing else in the world exists other than the verse. You could then gaze at the verse and allow your thoughts to flow freely. On a more advanced level, you could use this method to clear the mind of all thought other than the verse. So, once again, as you're concentrating on the verse or the words in the verse, you also have the intrusion of foreign thoughts about all kinds of other things. So you could use your concentration to continue to concentrate on the verse and understand it. In lieu of gazing at the written verse, there's something else. You could repeat the verse over and over for the entire period of meditation. This would be a verbal meditation as opposed to a visual contemplation. So he says, in general, the preparations for meditation are straightforward, mantra meditation, and simple. So things that we've heard in our vocabulary now, which means repetition. You should meditate in a time and place where you will not be interrupted or disturbed by people, phone calls, or noise. It was best to have a special room for meditation. If you see in Rabbi Nachman, he speaks about that, because Rabbi Nachman, so to speak, for Ashkenaz Jews, and then for everybody, is a master of meditation. If possible, since it's possible to have a special place. Since this is a luxury that few can afford, you may choose a special corner of the house, a special chair, or a room where you can be alone at night when no one else is about. Now, personally, a lot of times I drive in the car. I live in a neighborhood which is very, very pleasant, and you could drive your car around here in circles and circles and circles and never hit an obstacle, because it's just so few, with such little traffic in Boca Raton. That's just the way it is. The place is really not important as long as it is an environment where you will not be interrupted. You can even meditate under the covers in bed at night, if it's a place where you know you will not be disturbed. An excellent place, if available, will also be the synagogue, when no one is around to disturb the meditative session. Now think about that. Now, I do this a lot. Well, actually, I don't do it a lot. But if you're in a synagogue and there's no one there, the Kedusha in that synagogue is playing right in front of you. It's just a beautiful, beautiful silence. Many people associate meditation with the Eastern lotus position. Now, what is this? I never did yoga. However, we should remember that in the East it is common to sit on the floor or on a mat. Now, a lot of people don't know this, so since I actually traveled through the Middle East, I didn't get to India. That's where I was trying to get to. I got to Afghanistan. In Afghanistan, when you go into the synagogue, the floor of the synagogue is covered in carpets, small carpets, many of them, very luxurious, expensive carpets that would sell in the West, but there are no chairs. Everybody sits down on the carpets. Some have pillows, some don't, because in that part of the world, that's a common practice. So what he's saying is like this: in the East, it's common for people to sit on the floor. So that the lotus position was close to the normal, is very close to normal, because people always squatted. Comfortable sitting position for Eastern meditating. Now for Westerners, where we have tables and chairs, the position is difficult to learn and initially quite uncomfortable. In practice, it is found that sitting in a comfortable, straight-back chair is just as effective. During meditation, sit with the eyes lightly closed, totally relaxed. Your hands can rest comfortably on the table or on your lap. Your fingers should not be clasped or intertwined, as the Kabbalists teach that this should be avoided. Now, let's understand this again. The Rav, the Aryeh Kodesh, says that you shouldn't put your fingers together. In other words, to intertwine the fingers. Your fingers should not be clasped or intertwined, as the Kabbalists teach that this should be avoided. Rather, it's your hands are together, one should rest lightly on the other. Now, another place it says that your right hand should be on top of your left hand. So let's go on. Let's see what else we have. Before beginning a meditation, now, you want to start the meditation. Now, he's really talking to me, because I try meditation, but now, a disorganized person in general. So he said, before beginning a meditation, what I need to do is settle yourself into place. Get yourself comfortable in the place where you're going to be. This means sitting quietly in the place where you will be meditating, fitting it into it, and making yourself at ease. During this period, try to relax completely, cleaning your mind of all extraneous thoughts and concerns. So this is really what we have been talking about up to this place in the book, that we have to realize that we have the ability to block out the extraneous thoughts. Not easy, but this is what we're talking about. Some people find it helpful to hum a relaxing melody during these preparatory moments. This period should last between 5 and 10 minutes. In this respect, the advantage of meditating in the same place every day becomes clear. You will come to associate that place with the serene mood developed during meditation. And after a few days, the calmness comes automatically as soon as you sit down in your meditation place. This tends to reinforce the process and makes it easier to advance. Now, I'm going to read this paragraph again, because it's really important. He says, first of all, he mentioned the concept of humming. In this respect, the advantage of meditating in the same place every day becomes clear, because you know the practice. There's a routine he was teaching us. You will come to associate that place with the serene mood developed during meditation, and after a few days, the calmness comes automatically as soon as you sit down in your meditation place. This tends to reinforce the process and makes it easier to advance to get into a deeper place. So he says like this: let us assume that you are using verses such as Ribono Shel Olam. Now, this is something that Rabbi Nachman talks about in Breslov. You repeat the word Ribono Shel Olam over and over again. Ribono Shel Olam, Ribono Shel Olam, Ribono Shel Olam, Ribono Shel Olam. That's why I do it. There are other ones you could do. I've done other ones. I've done Hamakom, 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 Makom, 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 Hamakom, Makom, Hamakom, Makom, Hamakom, Makom, and go like that. Now, you've seen, because I went to our graduate school in a very, very advanced place. And at that time, there was a guy that I had a boarding house that my wife and I had. It wasn't a boarding house, it was a rooming house. We lived and we rented rooms, and we were college. And we sent it to college kids, and one of the kids would do Om. He called it Om. Now, later on, Rabbi Nachman, I think either he or Aryeh Kaplan, another place, refers to the same thing. He would go out in the field, because we were living like in a farming area. And he'd go out into the field, and he'd spread his hands wide, and he'd say Om, and he'd just listen to the vibrations. He did this over and over again. His parents came to visit us. They thought he was crazy. Anyway, let's go on. Let us assume that you are using verses such as the Ribono Shel Olam, the Hebrew word for universe, which is the Hebrew word for universe. So he says, Ribono, the master of Olam, of the universe. But other places they say Olam also means hidden. The master of hiddenness is because he is hidden, the hidden master. The Hebrew word for universe, on the other hand, is Olam, which is derived from the root olam, which means to conceal. So therefore, in a Hebrew sense, the universe is seen as that which conceals the divine. The divine is hidden inside of everything. Thus, when one says Ribono Shel Olam, denoting master of the universe, one is actually saying that concealed behind the universe, there's a master. Thus, in repeating this mantra, one is making oneself aware of the hidden reality behind the visible one. One more time reading. He says, when you say the word master of the universe, one is saying that concealed behind the universe there is a master. Thus, in repeating this mantra, and you say it over and over and over again, you are directing yourself, and one is making oneself aware of the hidden reality behind the visible one. This is Baruch Fleischman, and this has been the Shir here in, what's it called? The Ultimate Connection with God. And this what we're trying to do is connect to eternity.